It's treated us with so much delight and excitement, and now we're just some final 4 games away from its closure, and it starts off with a big one: Argentina versus Croatia. And first of all, Kofi, this is a game a lot of excitement has been building up to. Your thoughts on all of that which has taken place in the knockout phase so far?
Well, I think that generally speaking and honestly speaking, this is not a game I expected. I expected to see Brazil and Argentina. I think it would have served most of the neutrals a lot of fun, a lot of entertainment, a lot of South American flavor. And I think that on the evidence of everything that we have had to see in the quarterfinals, I think it would have been a blockbuster. It would have been bloody. I mean, to put it literally, it would have been absolutely bloody. But I, I, I shudder to think. I think that this is the best World Cup I have watched in a while. I am trying to wrap my head around any other World Cup that I have watched that has brought so much unpredictability, that has brought so much fun, that has brought so much light. Virtually in this World Cup, every game has become a reference point. And for me, all throughout the group stages up until now, the World Cup has been absolutely phenomenal. And with the quarterfinal games that we witnessed Africa make its first entrance into the semi-final. Morocco have had to beat Portugal. And if you look at the direction or the trajectory that Morocco has had to thread on up until now, it's been nothing short of admirable. I think that the Moroccans have done Africa a lot of good. They have brought a lot of joy to faces in Africa. Then you look at France versus England, also another blockbuster game. It had to be decided on thin margins. I mean, look at the penalty on in the voice of Lionel Messi. They had to go route one, and then the Argentines, because they had made changes, started to struggle, and then the Netherlands had that physical dwell going in their favor. They had all the height, and then the last minute goal, it embodied everything intelligence. I mean, I watch that goal again and again, and I look at the time and the things that were at stake and the presence of mind for the player to do what he did. I think that's, absolutely intelligent. And the last quarterfinal had to be the game between the Croats and the Brazilians. Obviously, a lot of people felt that the Brazilians were going to go through. I think that the Croats played to their greatest strength. They played a lot of anti-football. The Brazilians scored a goal in overtime. The Croats sat deep because of the quality they do have in their ranks. Got one attack going in their favor, got a goal, and rode their luck on penalties. For me, it's been an absolute great World Cup.
Well, it's been an absolute great World Cup in the words of also FIFA President Gianni Infantino. But one of the biggest stories we can't help but overlook is that story of the Moroccan miracle. You look at how they've had to get through giant slayers. It's been David and Goliath all throughout their campaign. And even though they play tomorrow, Lucky, a word on Morocco's campaign thus far.
I think that, Kofi rightly put it. I remember when we did our first episode of the World Cup here, I spoke about the fact that this World Cup is going to be a very historic one, a World Cup of first. And no matter what happens in the final, we are likely going to have a first in there. If Argentina wins it, it will be Messi's first time lifting it. If France wins it, it will be the first time a nation does back-to-back since God knows how long. If Croatia wins it, it will be their first. If Morocco goes ahead to win it, it will be so. No matter what happens, this World Cup has been a historic World Cup, and one of the emblems of this World Cup is a campaign of Morocco. Listen, I've heard a lot of people talk about the fact that this team is riding their luck. Whatever you've seen the Moroccans do is not a matter of luck. It's a combination of proper planning, good leadership, and rightfully injecting capital where it needs to be injected to. I think 10 years ago, when the first FIFA Goal Project money came in, we saw what the Moroccans did with that money and what they've been doing with that money for the past 10 years. And we've seen what we in Ghana here, we've done with our Goal Project money. And I've heard a lot of people talk about, the FA communicators talk about you do not need facilities to perform. I say these guys do not know how to plan football. Listen, the Moroccans they are evident of when you put the right leaders in place, when you do the right things, and you are patient, you will reap the results. Maybe they didn't expect that, listen, we'll come this far, but everything we are seeing, and the coach said it in their last presser that they are not riding their luck. This is as a result of proper planning, and it's testament of the result. This man, since he took over, he's not lost a single game. How many goals has he conceded? Just one. Since he took over somewhere in August. So it tells you that everything they are doing is not just fluke. What the Moroccans do so well is they play very well without the ball. It's not so much of what they do when they have the ball, it's how well they are able to play without the ball. And we keep saying that, listen, football is about four things: what you do when you have the ball, what you do when you do not have the ball, what your opponents are doing when they have the ball, and what they are not doing when they have. If you're able to master these things, you are able to control the game. They've looked at their strength. We are so good without the ball, and the ability to defend without the ball. And for a team, this is the first time that a team has gone through the group stages through to the semi-final stage without without conceding a goal
from the opponent.
Never in the history of the World Cup. This is not fluke. This is not luck. Come on, this is not luck. Not even Brazil has been able to do it or excellence. Not even name them Germany. Morocco has been able to do it. I think that hats off to the Moroccan FA, hats off to the players. I'm hoping that Kofi keeps talking about the African mentality. For them, Morocco is not part of the AU. A lot of people do not know this, but Morocco is not part of the AU because for over the last 30, 40 years, they do not see themselves as Africans. They actually applied to be part of the EU about 15 years ago because of where they find themselves, the Iberian Peninsula. They feel they are more closer to Europe than Africa. So for them, I like their mentality. And, this one of the players granted an interview where he talked about they are doing this for the Arabian, world. And I agree. If they feel they are not African, that's them. That's how they feel. But for whatever it is, they've made Africa proud. They've lit up this tournament, and it's been exciting. I cannot wait to see them tomorrow against France. They are former colonial masters. It's going to be exciting. Some people think that they've peaked, but I think this Moroccan side can cause a lot of, maybe they may be eliminated, but they will give France, a run for their money. This World Cup, like Kofi said, yesterday I was thinking about, in 1990, I was very young, but at least I remember my dad taking me to, but I was young. 1994 was the first time I sat down to watch a World Cup game. Through to 1998, 2002, 2006, but it wasn't so much exciting. Yeah, 2010, very exciting because of the African, dimension in there. 2014, 2018, put the Monyo. Truthfully, this is the best World Cup I have witnessed. Everything about this World Cup, there's a storyline to this World Cup. The writers, the journalists, they will keep. There's a lot to write about from the first game that we saw, the talking point, the VR issue, even the football itself. Today I watched a video where the Brazilian national team were pelted with stones. But there are very few players that arrived back in, Brasilia. They were pelted with stones. So there's a lot of storyline, Dave. The Moroccans are the darling boy of a lot of people, especially the Arabian world. Tomorrow I cannot just wait out the stadium will be full because the Qataris are supporting them. Saudi Arabia is supporting them. Everybody is supporting
Royal
them,
Air
including
Maroc
Africa.
has dedicated 20 flights flying from Casablanca, Rabat, all the way to Doha tomorrow.
Exactly, and I'm sure when they look at this, they look at the fans in the stadium, they would have something to play for. So it's been an exciting World Cup, and I cannot wait for the games to kick off this evening, especially the semi-finals game.
So Croatia and Argentina is the final. Many didn't think. Gradually, at the beginning of that permutation, everybody was looking forward to Brazil versus Argentina.
That's why I'm clouded. Though I'm disappointed, but you see, I got this JC. I cannot keep it in the house. Otherwise, you go to the South American campaign. You are supporting the South Americans.
1998, Croatia made their debut at the FIFA World Cup, and since 1998, they struggled after making the semi-finals and then going all the way to place third. They were led by Davor Suka. Dalic was a member of that particular team. They had struggled subsequently, but here they are back-to-back semi-finals. And Lucky spoke about storylines. And before coming on set, I found one particularly interesting feature about this Croatian team. Now, all throughout the campaign, of all of the 32 teams, Croatia are one of the few who have employed Provision, which is an offshoot of Optus analytical tools for the entire tournament. So whatever Croatia have been doing, it's not about luck, but it's about a calculated effort. Now, Provision is an AI-censored technology that provides you with data on every single happening on the field of play. And so if you look through Croatia's campaign all throughout, they have the best midfield combination ever in this tournament, but have used very little of the midfield in terms of progressive attacks. Just a paltry 19% of the attacks have been created from midfield. The rest have come from either the right or the left flank. Today they come up against Argentina. We saw how they struggled when they came up against the Netherlands with Wout van Venghorst and then Luke de Jong. Bjorna Sosa and Juranovic have been Croatia's fullbacks. Both combined have put in 38 crosses. On the total, Croatia have put 103 open play crosses, the most at this particular tournament.
They work at the Vatican.
Kofi, you look at all of these numbers. How do Argentina deal with that Croatian threat?
Well, I think that before I go on to how Argentina can deal with the Croatian threat, I think that all of the plenty grammar you spoke prior to asking me that question spoke to one thing, that you cannot underestimate the value that science plays in modern day football. Everything has become science. Every single action or inaction revolves around science, you understand? And when you spoke about the provision thing, I think that what AI does is to analyze, first of all, the team in question. Then I think that it simulates also the strengths and the weaknesses of the other teams, and then helps the technical handlers to make decisions based on the simulations, you understand? So because I watched the Croats play, right? Like I said, I watched the Croats play against the Brazilians. For virtually most parts of the game, they did nothing. They did absolutely nothing.
It looked as though they had pre-programmed. They knew everything Brazil were going to do.
It was almost like they knew when and how to attack. Because, you see, when the Brazilians conceded the goal they did, they received a lot of bashing in Brazil because people feel that the Brazilians were too open.
Exactly.
For somebody trying to close out a quarter-final game.
To help you out, they considered the game in the 119th minute,
Exactly.
a minute away from full time. They could have just held on to it because they know how to pass around. So, like you said, the Croats knew what they were doing.
But how do the Argentines deal with the threats
But before you go through to how Argentina, we've got viewers watching us. And guys, if you are tuned into Sports 101, do invite a friend, share the link to your colleagues, and drop us a comment. Let's know what you make. Let's take your predictions on this particular game, Argentina versus Croatia. Along the line, we've got certain key factors we would be pointing out pretty shortly. But if you're watching us live on Sports 101, invite a friend, share the message, share the link across, and get everybody on board there. Bakofi.
Yes, I mean, how the Argentines can deal with the threats of the Croats. I think that's two things. I think that you spoke about the fact that the Croats, their fullbacks have made the most crosses in this tournament. What the Argentines need to do is that whoever plays at right fullback or left fullback, they need to get closer to their opposing players, you understand? First of all, the thumb rule of defending has to come into play. Do not allow the cross into the box. That has to be the first instinct. Do not allow the cross into the box. But I think that the Argentines in this tournament are not the most physically well built, you understand? But they have players who understand the dynamics of aerial threats. I have watched them. I've watched Otamendi. I've watched Lisandro Martinez. I've watched the other guy who plays for Tottenham. Romero. You understand? I think that these are players who are not the most physically built or built for aerial duels, but they can leap, they can outjump, they understand the dynamics of aerial threats. So I think the Argentines can deal with the threats of the Croats by, first of all, failing to stopping most of the crosses from coming into the box first of all, and then having the calmness and the presence of mind to know when and how to deal with the crosses that come in. Because listen, that's one dimension of the Croats that makes them very difficult to play against, because you never know what to expect from the attack. 1 minute they are moving through the midfield. If you watch them against the Brazilians, they don't really make a lot of crosses into the box. The only moments that they had, they decided to go through the middle. So how do you deal with that multifaceted attack? Do you allow them to come at you through the middle? Do you allow them to go through the wings? I think that this is one fascinating battle that our viewers and people listening to us all across the world need to look out for. When I watch football, I look at these micro battles that play out tactically between teams and opposing teams, and I think that it has to be one of the features that people who are listening and watching us need to look out for.
We'll come to tactics in a jiffy, but Lucky, let's look at this Argentina team. At times it appears there's a wave of emotion, patriotic fervor, and guys leading this particular Argentina team onto the final. Other points, it's all about Lionel Messi's calm magic that is leading him, his extraordinary persona that is pushing them. But if you look clearly at this Argentina team, they inspire fervor and they've got a quasi-zeal that drags them on. This can give you two positives. Get you to perform very well enough.
That's true.
And also at the other point, lose your head.
Yeah.
And we saw it against Netherlands. In a game of such nature, what sort of approach does Argentina adopt, particularly with regards to their emotions? Because they lost their heads, clearly, in that game against Netherlands.
I think that I will not say they lost their heads per se. There are times when the occasion demands that you also go, like we said, route one. You go, toe to toe with your opponent. I think this Argentine team is very experienced. You look at the different variation of players that are in there. There's a lot of experience in there. Most of these guys, have seen it. They saw it at the Copa Americas. They saw it at the last World Cup in 2014. For someone like Messi, he's been seeing it in Europe consistently. He's played under tremendous pressure and all of that. A lot of these players have played under tremendous pressure. The only player that for me is new to this entire zone is somebody like Julian Alvarez, and Enzo Perez and all of that. But these guys have seen it all. I think that the emotions help because it whips you up to getting the best out of you, because you look at the situation around you and you realize, no, I cannot let my emotions down. I saw how Neymar cried. I saw how Cristiano Ronaldo cried. I'm sure going into those games, Brazil did not think that they would lose that game. Portugal did not think that they were going to lose that game against Morocco. But what is the mindset of the Argentine players going into this game? Do they think they are going to lose? Because you need to respect your opponent for everything. I think Portugal did not respect Morocco. Brazil did not respect Croatia. They felt like, these guys will. But Argentina needs to respect Croatia very well. This is a team that is built for tournament, very experienced, solid. They know what they are about. They don't care. Like if you said anti-football, they don't care what you say. It's anti-football, whatever it is. We do not care. We are just playing to our strength. We are just delivering on the pitch. That is what I'm expecting that the Argentines will go into this game with. Respect them. That is where, when the emotions come into play, you'll be able to manage the emotions. For somebody like Lionel Messi, I saw that outrageous pass he gave to what's his name, Molina to score that goal. It takes players of his ilk to be able to see those loopholes and put a ball through there. This is what I'll be expecting somebody like Lionel Messi to do. I expect that the players will keep a cool head, a very calm head, because I sense that this game might go the long haul. I do not think it will get into penalties, but I think it will go the long haul. Maybe it will drag on to extra time, but there will be a winner at the end of 120 minutes or at the end of 90 minutes, but it will go the long haul. That's where you expect that players to keep their heads, like Otamendi. He's seen it all. My fear is a player like Nicolas Tagliafico. In the first game he played, but he was very poor on the left. When he was taken off, Acuna came on and what has been brilliant. He's actually, if you look at the stats of the Argentines, he's contributed 60% to most of the attacking play, but he's out in this game because of card accumulation. So there's going to be something taken away from at the back of the players as well, because usually when a player comes on and he performs, the players literally suck up to him. he's not there anymore. How would they be able to, marshal around the guy who, when he plays, he does not give us that attacking, what is it called, that attacking instinct that we need, that the ability to go forward and all of that. All these things would play in the minds of the Argentines. But Dave, Kofi, I feel there's one thing that is going for these Argentines. Let's do this for our captain Lionel Messi. After all, this is his last World Cup, and let's do this for Argentina, because for everything that has been said, I listened around, and the agenda boys were just waiting for that game against Holland. They said, "Oh, destiny delayed."
I was waiting.
Destiny delayed is not destiny denied.
Justice denied.
So his destiny awaits him in the semi-final. But I think there's
that element provides is what has created that emotional disorder, for want of a better word, with this Argentina. Because at certain points, you find that this is a team that's trying to play for Lionel Messi, trying to play for their captain. But at other points, the captain himself has not stood up to the occasion. And when the individual you're looking up to is failing to pop up, the rest tend to drop their heads. And it showed. If you look at Argentina all throughout the knockout phase, they took a very commanding position against Australia. And then they sit back, heads drop, and it had to take Martinez, that last minute save against Cole, to keep them in the game. Against Netherlands, they weren't lucky. It actually went the haul. And you get the feeling this is a Croatian side that understands patience. Patience is literally their hallmark. They don't care seeing out, because if you look throughout the teams that are in the Final Four, Croatia are the team to have played the most minutes, including extra time and added on time, 556 minutes. No side has come close in playing that much. So when it comes to patience, they do have it. When it comes to being calm, being level-headed, not letting the occasion to get to them, they have that element. What about this Argentina team? Because I spoke about they losing their heads. In that game against Netherlands, it was the highest yellow cards or highest bookings we have recorded ever since that famous Portugal versus England game in 2006. And when you lose your head in this manner, you run the risk of getting a man sent off. It's even very difficult playing 11v11. And how much more when you lose a man?
I think that is, putting, I think, chunk of the blame on Lionel Messi is a bit far-fetched, because I think that Scaloni should be the one that would take, what is it called?
He's a leader on the pitch.
Responsibility for that. Why do I say that? When you take a commanding lead 2-0, even against the Saudi Arabians, they took the lead and they allowed the Saudi Arabians to claw back. I think that, listen, it's the duty of the manager to tell them, because the manager would obviously speak to them. Coaches coach in phases. When you are up, there's a way they want you to play. When you are down, there's a way you want to play. Maybe when it's 10 minutes to full time, there's a way you want to play. That's why I feel that Scaloni should come in and tell the boys, okay, 2-0 up, 20 minutes to go. This is how I want the cash to be shuffled around. You're very good going forward. You guys can hold the ball very well. But there's a problem defensively, because we've seen it. Otamendi has issues with pace. He played against the Netherlands side that has their front line were pacey front lines. It was the reason why they allowed in the goals that they conceded. Will the Croatians afford the same threat? That is the dynamics going into this game, because as much as we may fault the Argentine defense for their lack of pace and the ability to lose their heads when it matters the most, this Croatian side, like you said, they are more patient. They do not attack at will like a Brazilian side will, a Dutch side will, probably a Portuguese side or a Spanish side will. They pick their moment. So what I feel might go for the Argentine is that if they're able to manage the moments where the Croatians will be able to pick them, they will be able to punish these Croatians. And because if they're able to take the lead, how can the Croatians claw back? The Croatians will have to open up. And against Brazil, ironically, even when they conceded, they didn't open up, because I was thinking that they're going to open up and the Brazilians will just maul them. Like Kofi said, they probably might have predicted what will happen. So I'm hoping that if it happens that Argentina take the lead, Argentina do not lose their head, because listen, this is the semi-final. You don't have to impress, win and go through. If you have to score one and defend with your life, you need to do that. So it all boils down on what the manager would tell the players. And like you said, it's true. as a leader on the pitch, listen, there are times when you need to whip your boys up into play and say, guys, the coach is not on the pitch. We are on the pitch. Let's get this win for us. Let's get this win for our country. So for Argentina, there's a lot riding on this team. Lionel Messi himself, this is going to be his last World Cup. How will the world see him? Some say if he's able to lift that trophy that has eluded him over, his playing career, he would gradually, ascend to the throne of the greatest of all time. I have my own issue about that GOAT tag. I feel that nobody deserves it because football is played in errors and all of that.
Let's see what pans out. But let me run through the teams of both sides, and I start with Croatia. Livakovic, the penalty heroics man.
He's been the best goalkeeper together with Bono in this tournament.
It'll be a straight fight between the two, particularly when the Golden Glove or the team of the tournament is being put up. But he's the man in goal. Juranovic, Lovren, Vardiol, and Sosa at the back for Modric, Brozovic, Kovacic, Croatia's midfield three, Perisic, Kramaric, and Pasalic, the men who lead the line. For Argentina, they've gone Emi Martinez in goal, Molina, Romero, Otamendi, and Tagliafico at the back, De Paul, Fernandez, Paredes, McAllister, Lionel Messi, and Julian Alvarez. Kofi, when you pick Argentina, Lionel Messi embodies this team. But this might be a game he would quickly want to have to forget, because when Argentina met Croatia in 2018, they ended 3-0. That's not the biggest part of it. But for Lionel Messi, since ever he made his World Cup debut in 2006, it was in that particular game he recorded the fewest touches ever in a FIFA World Cup match. It was the particular game that he recorded the fewest passes ever. He had 49 touches. He only attempted 25 passes. They literally took him out.
How I pray for
So they don't
another
have to
night.
play him.
No, it's how I pray for another night like this today. You understand? I don't know
They actually feel because it was that midfield three that made the job easier.
Albeit a lot younger
Than what they are today.
4 years younger than what they are today. But it looks like all of them have grown in stature. All of them have grown together. It's amazing to see players who have done it and have gone on to consistently deliver. I think it bears testament to the fact that they pay a lot of attention to detail and they care about the player growth and welfare in that particular region. You look at, I think that I look at the Croats and they are symbolic of everything that Eastern Europe represents. Mentally, they are too strong. Too strong. I mean, I'm always quick to make reference to somebody like Novak Djokovic. How many times have you not seen him with his back to the wall and has he not clawed his way back out of trouble? You look at the Croats. I mean, Lucky speaks about the fact that when they played against the Brazilians and conceded a goal, you were expecting them to open up so that the Brazilians probably could punish them at will. But they did the exact opposite of what we were all expecting. They did not panic. They did not rush.
Interestingly, of all the games Croatia have actually played at the World Cup, they've actually fallen behind. In all of the games.
No, tonight.
They've actually not lost the game.
I get you. We don't want that statistic repeated tonight. I honestly think that, listen, the Croats, I mean, knowing what they did to the Argentine, at the back of their mind, know that if they are able to play to the best of their Enzo Fernandez looks to be the magician in there, but you to the best of their abilities, having that mental edge over the Argentines because of that result in 2018. I think that they should be able to run away with this in the end.
Lucky, when you've done it against an opponent before, does that play on your mind, and does that give you overconfidence, or gives you the actual confidence to go on to do it again?
It gives you actual confidence. Listen, this Croatian side or the Croats are not an overconfident side. They know their strengths, they know their weaknesses. They'll look at this game and you go back to 2018 and say, this is a team that we were able to literally neutralize. And you see, back then, Lionel Messi was 4 years younger, yet they could still neutralize him. he's 4 years older now, meaning in terms of pace, in terms of everything, its strength has gone down compared to 4 years ago. So they can actually do the job better now. I feel that you gave this stats and it's a bit scary because they know how to play out Lionel Messi. You take out Lionel Messi from this team is practically non-existent. There's nothing scary about this Argentine side. There's nothing creative about this Argentine side. Lionel Messi brings out every single creativity thing about this team, and the Croats have proven that we can take out Lionel Messi. I mean, if you're the coach, you probably speak to a player like Brozovic, that hey, Brozovic and Kovacic, do the job on Lionel Messi. Let Modric do the progressive play. That's it, because he's good at being that progressive player. Kovacic has always been that register who loves to progress from defense to the midfield, more or less like a box-to-box midfielder. But they can assign a certain level of workload for them in terms of play out Lionel Messi. Like sometimes Lionel Messi gets frustrated when he doesn't get to have his own way, when he doesn't get to see a lot of the ball. If they're able to do that, the entire Argentine team will crumple. And maybe that is when probably we might see Paulo Dybala for the first time this season, because he's been out basically because of the role of Lionel Messi, because he literally plays a similar role. If you try to change the role, you might not get the best of Paulo Dybala. So for me, I'm very certain that, listen, this is going to be a very tactical game, cagey game. The two sides might have seen and weighed each other, and they know what to do. It's going to be an interesting game, but I think that it would be more of a plus for Croatia than a minus, having played Argentina before and having neutralized and beaten them by 3-0. It will be more of a positive, psychological advantage over the Argentine, because coming into the game, Argentina will think like, hey, 4 years ago, this is a team that literally stopped us from progressing. So at the back of their mind, you have that little thing, that little voice speaking to you that, hey, when you are doing something, you always have that somebody is watching you, somebody can easily come at you. It plays, to your disadvantage. I think that the Croats have, that added advantage. We've beaten you before. We did it in style. We can do it again. And they look at everything they've done throughout the tournament. We've been brilliant throughout the tournament. For me, they are one of the best teams in this tournament. They are not your favorite team. They are not your exciting team, but they've been one of the best teams in the tournament, and it's going to be an exciting game.
Well, it's going to be an exciting game. We're some 10 minutes away from kickoff, and pretty shortly I'll be taking your predictions. But guys who are with us on the stream, let me take a few of your comments. This one from Terry says, proud of you guys, keep up the good work. Thank you very much for joining in. Frank Shako says, the show is becoming my favorite show. Thank you, Frank, for making us your favorite. Percy Bonnie, our very own Percy, says there will be a repeat of 2018. I'm pretty sure. I know we all know where he's coming which from. Camp is coming from there. Gregory says this year isn't a year of revenge. So clearly Gregory is on the part of the Croatians. Dwight says revenge ain't happening. Croatia will win again. Dwight also looks to be a Croatian. Anthony McKen says, I want Croatia to win. Argentina, an ugly team to watch. They don't bring anything to this tournament. I want Croatia to win and win convincingly. A repeat of 2018. Looks like Croatia have a lot of fans here. Agent Tostad says, the crowd are exceptional and very disciplined. I think they are in for a big prize there. John Kaku says Argentina will lose tonight, and PHA says this Argentine team must master some team spirit in order to win this one. Kojo Boateng says Argentina will edge this one. That's quite the very first Argentine prediction we're having here. So guys, you can drop us your comments, you can drop us your predictions for this particular one. But Kofi, quickly, before we sign off, we'll be back at halftime though, so if you're tuned in, we'll be back at halftime to bring you a breakdown of all of the incidents that happened in the first half. But Croatia, I mentioned earlier, have played the most minutes. They have the third oldest 11 at this particular tournament. Will they have the legs to go the long haul tonight?
They are on the side of provision. They showed. They showed. I think that we have spoken at length about how many minutes they've had to play all throughout the tournament. I think that this is a team that is built purely on science. They understand the dynamics of the human body. They understand the dynamics of their strength and everything that encompasses what they stand for. I think that they should be able to have the legs to deal with the everything that the Argentines throw at them. Lucky mentions the fact that you're able to cut off the head of Lionel Messi in this team, and then frustration and doubt might just creep into the side of the Argentines, because he's at the heartbeat of everything good they've done all throughout this tournament. If he's not scoring goals, he's giving passes with that extra eye at the back of his head, you understand? And so he's creating chances, he's making opportunities for his teammates. So you cut him out, I think that element of self-doubt will begin to crawl into the minds of the Argentine players. But I think that, the Croats have shown that everything you throw at them physically, they can be more than able to resist.
So only 4 teams in the history of the FIFA World Cup have lost the first game and made it to the final. Argentina are bidding to be the first. Will they? Lucky, your predictions?
Throughout this tournament, I've been terrible at predictions, so I do not want that luck to follow Argentina. I told you, I was supporting Brazil, but Brazil disappointed me, and so that's why I'm clouded in the Brazilian national team jersey. I'm rooting for Argentina because of Lionel Messi. That one day, so I'm not going to predict. I think, like I said, this game will go the long haul. We are going to see goals in the first half. I don't think that the first half will end up, 0-0, or it will be, a drop game. But I think we are going to see goals. But I do not know who is going to go for. But we all know. I know where my head is and where my heart is. I don't want to be a party football by predicting, because, like I said, I've been terrible at predictions. I predicted Brazil will win the tournament. They are out. So
you want to jinx Argentina?
I don't want to jinx Argentina's fate. Listen, Lionel Messi, we love you. We want to see you in the final. You see, I'm tempted to go for Croatia. What if I go for Croatia? But like I said, I want to wait. Let me wait. After the first half, I'll predict.
Kofi?
Well, I think Croatia will win this game by 2-1.
Kofi's predictions to have not come to break. We are all Brazilians. We are out.
Well, you're all looking out. Kofi's looking for a Croatia win in the first half. Well, let me best you, but Croatia have not scored a first half goal at this particular tournament. So
this will be a first.
Guys, this is Sports 101, and this is our preview of Argentina versus Croatia, the first FIFA World Cup semi-final. We'll be back at halftime to bring you more. Break down the incidents that happened in the first half. Do stick with us. We'll be back at halftime.